ladies and gentlemen, I got a bit of a hot take for you guys. Racism and genocide are bad. I know. Not everybody's willing to say this, but the real heroes are the ones that say the right things in the most inconvenient of times. Let's look at somebody that said the wrong thing.
If you want to consider a genocide as a systematic killing of a group of people, they have genocide built into Sharia law right now. So no, I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people. It's not even a question. It's crazy that people don't see it that way. They'd be doing the same thing. And how much did they kill? As many as they can. They're not able to kill as many people as Israel because they don't have as many bombs and as many weapons. But if they did, they'd be doing the same thing. That's it. Just takes enough. That's right. These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that is horrible. It kills people for their identity, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways. It is that simple. No, I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel sorry for them. I don't care.
Boy, howdy, that was a bit of a saucy statement by one of the NPCs from Resident Evil 7. That's obviously a horrible thing to say. I mean, I think it's fair to criticize, religious extremism and religious extremist societies. I don't even think it's necessarily a bad thing to say that our culture here in America, which gives us freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of sexual orientation and stuff like that, is superior than another culture that doesn't offer those things. I mean, like, hot take, our culture right now is superior than when we had slaves. Like, I think it's okay to say all of these things, but you're definitely crossing the line when you're saying that you don't feel bad that people that live in those societies are genocided. Like, that level of dehumanization is actually very frightening and dangerous. And because of how insane that statement was, Asmongold got banned for 14 days. And you know what? I have no problem with that. However, the way that this whole thing went down didn't sit right with a lot of people, especially because one of the voices of reason throughout all of this was Hasan Piker. In fact, he had a debate with Asmongold regarding this whole situation where he was essentially talking him off of the genocide ledge. And the reason why people felt kind of weird about Hasan being this sort of figure of reasonability and civility throughout Asmongold's controversy is because he's done some pretty wacky stuff himself. One of those reasons is Hasan having on a member of the Houthis for an interview on his stream.
Does he know what One Piece is?
الطفولة وأنا أشاهد ون بيس لوفي.
Is it Luffy?
Yeah, he said he's been watching it since he was a kid.
No way!
Yeah.
That's sick. Yes. That's fire. That's so fire. Oh my god. We think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do.
I mean, not only is it one of the most cringy things that I've ever seen to have on a Houthi pirate on your stream and be like, whoa, you watch One Piece too? But he goes so far as to say that the Houthis are just like the protagonists that we all love from One Piece. Now, in case people don't know, the Houthis are a terrorist organization. Their flag reads, "God is the greatest. Death to America. Death to Israel. A curse upon the Jews. Victory to Islam." Not only does Hasan have one of their members on his stream and like soys out with him because he watches One Piece, which is one of the most cringy things I've ever seen in my life, but he goes so far as to just straight up endorse a terrorist organization on his Twitch stream. There's more.
Hasan Nasrallah.
Who's that?
He's the leader of Hezbollah, the general secretary of Hezbollah.
What's Hezbollah?
Hezbollah
is that small guy?
Hezbollah is this is the same name.
Okay.
Hezbollah is a paramilitary organization that is also a part of the Lebanese parliament.
Do we like them or no?
I think as a resistance group, they're pretty successful against Israel. But everybody hates them. Like everybody in the region, a lot of people don't like them. Like
I like what you like.
I don't have an issue with them. Let's just say.
I'm gonna be honest with Sam.
But they are a terrorist organization. Like they're designated. They are designated by the American state as a terrorist organization.
I do not like them then.
Well, I mean, we also called Nelson Mandela a terrorist until 2008.
This man, Hasan Piker, is literally running around on his Twitch streams just endorsing terrorist organizations. He's saying terrorism based alert, based terrorism. And then he has like the gall to like compare them to Nelson Mandela. Maybe I'm just misinformed, but I don't recall Nelson Mandela raping women, having slaves, and like doing mass murder. I don't know. Maybe I missed that part in the history books. But anyways, the guy who he was just talking to, his name is NMP Lol. He was trying to convince him that Hezbollah is actually based in Epic and Poggers. He also just showed him straight up Houthi propaganda.
I'm so confused. What is this?
He also showed him footage of the Houthis hijacking a ship. No, I am not kidding you.
If you're an Israeli, if you're owned by an Israeli corporation, or if you are actually sending ships to the Israeli port of, it's not Eilat, it's the other one that is now bankrupt.
It's Eilat
but
that is suffering.
What was the other port? Haifa, right? Is it Haifa? Is Haifa the bankrupt one? Anyway, there's a lot of information. I can't recall all of it. But they go, if you are sending ships into Israel, if you are owned by an Israeli subsidiary, if you're owned by an Israeli corporation, we're going to take over your ship. You cannot fucking use this trade route anymore. So they started taking over these ships. They started targeting the ship.
Appreciate
the
flowery language.
He
He
like,
loves
hey, where are you going? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. And if you're trying to get in there.
And you know, when I initially saw all of this, I kind of thought in my mind of like, oh, he's just like autistic. Like he just doesn't understand how like terminally online and politics brained he is, that like trying to tell all of this stuff to like a normal person is going to make you sound insane. But the more that I've like learned about this guy and like the more like videos I've seen of him, I actually think that this is way more insidious than that. It's like, this is the largest politics streamer on Twitch by far. Like, I believe that he is very purposefully and intentionally collabing with like normal streamers. I think that he knows that even though it's going to make him look like a crazy person, he wants to expose this stuff to the normie audience that NMP Lol brings and try to radicalize as much of them as possible. And just to be clear, all of that is blatantly against the Twitch terms of service. I also didn't go over like every bad thing that Hasan has ever said. There's a lot out there. You can go find it. There are content creators that have gone to it in depth. I'm trying to make a shorter video here. Again, I think that it is perfectly reasonable to ban Asmongold for what he said. But to ban Asmongold for saying that he's okay with people getting genocided, but not ban Hasan when he blatantly supports terrorism, he blatantly supports a group who wield a flag that says death to Israel? I mean, there seems to be some kind of double standard here. There seems to be a bit of hypocrisy, if I do say so myself. Oh, the CEO of Twitch, Dan Clancy, enjoys leftist political commentator Hasan Piker. Huh. Well, isn't that a bit of a coinky dink? But believe it or not, this actually goes deeper than just a double standard or a bias towards any particular streamer. Because there is actually some pretty compelling evidence that Twitch is straight up anti-Semitic. This is a screenshot from a TwitchCon panel, right? A panel endorsed by Twitch, where you have a bunch of Arab streamers. To be fair, I don't know if they're all Arab. And on the left-hand side here, you have a tier list where Arab is at the top and Loves Sabra is at the bottom. Now, for people that might not know, I didn't know this before all of this. Sabra, it's a brand of hummus that is really popular in Israel. But okay, maybe that's just an innocent coincidence. You know, they just happened to choose a hummus brand that's popular in Israel. You know, not necessarily a malicious thing there, but do you want to know what the word Sabra means? It means a Jew born in Israel. I'm sorry, but I refuse to believe that like tier list is an innocent coincidence. Like, just to be crystal clear, this is literally the exact same as if like a bunch of white streamers had a tier list and at the top was white and at the bottom was Loves KFC. I mean, it is literally the exact same thing. Okay, so we have all of that, right? Maybe all of it is just a coincidence. Maybe it's just a coincidence that Twitch was allowing Hasan Piker to endorse terrorists that have beef with Israel. Maybe it's a coincidence that Twitch allowed a literal race tier list where Jews are at the bottom. Maybe that's a little bit of a coinky-dink. What if I told you that Twitch banned the country of Israel from making Twitch accounts? In Twitch's apology for the whole thing, they straight up admitted to temporarily disabling signups with email verification in Israel and Palestine because they wanted to prevent uploads of graphic material related to the attack and to protect the safety of users. However, people were pretty quick to point out that they have literally not done this for any other conflict. Like, they didn't do this when Ukraine and Russia had their epic YouTuber beef. They've only done this for Israel and Palestine. Now, they claim that people were still able to sign up with phone verification and that inadvertently we did not re-enable email verification signups for either region. So, just to be clear, they're admitting to forgetting to unban Israel and Palestine. But yeah, like just to be clear, they're admitting to forgetting to unban an entire nation. Is it just me, or is that just completely nonsense? Like, I just don't believe that. I don't believe that you can accidentally do something like that. Now, I will also note that this is where I have to defer to other people that are way smarter than me. Like, I've seen like videos of people like trying to sign up for accounts in Israel using their phone number, and they were like these videos are them like hacking into the Matrix where like you can see like lines of code or whatever in like the left hand corner of the screen, and it literally says like country IP blocked and whatnot. Like, people have gone like pretty far to prove this. Now, again, I'm technologically illiterate. I'm not going to necessarily say that I understand how all of that works. I've also heard people say that, you know, you can't really use the fact that they also blocked Palestine as an excuse.
The code contained a very simple line, and it said, if the country is Israel or Palestine, error out. The issue is, number one, first off, people in the West Bank and Gaza have had their shit omega fucked up by Israel, bombed to fucking hell. So I'm not so sure how much infrastructure is there for anything. And secondly, the infrastructure that they do have is not even inside of Palestine. It is provided by Lebanon, is provided by Egypt, is provided by Jordan. So it's not even going to be IPs that are in that space. It's going to be IPs outside of that space. So people in Palestine were not affected. It was only people, as far as I can tell, inside of Israel that would have been affected.
Again, I'm technologically illiterate. I'm not really sure how it works on that front. All I am definitively saying in this video is that the idea that you can just accidentally block a country and just forget that you did it? No. I simply don't believe that. Like, you would notice that you're not getting signups from Israel. Like, that's just the thing that you would notice. The money people at Twitch would notice that they were getting less, like, subs or whatever from Israel. They would notice that they're receiving less ad revenue from Israel. Like, these are things that the people at Twitch would notice. Oh, and by the way, again, these are things that I can't necessarily verify, but there are people claiming that, like, they contacted Twitch support, like Israelis were telling them about it, and Israel was just, like, literally responding back with, like, sorry, can't do anything. Again, I can't necessarily verify all of this stuff, but that's what people are claiming. But again, just to be clear, going based on their own words, Twitch's own words, which is this is what this video is going based off of, it seems nonsensical. After seeing everything that I've seen, I can't help but come to the conclusion that Twitch as a platform, or at the very least, a bunch of very influential people within Twitch, I think they might be anti-Semitic. Or at the very least, maybe because of the current Israel and Palestine conflict, maybe their, like, sympathy for the Palestinian plight, which I'm not going to judge if that's how you feel, I think that's perfectly reasonable, has led them to be doing anti-Semitic actions, at the very least. There has been a massive backlash against this. You have people going after Twitch's advertisers. You have people blowing them up on social media. You know, H3H3 has done several streams about this whole situation. Other content creators have talked about it. How does Twitch respond? Do they, I don't know, enforce their own terms of service that they already have that outline things that you can or cannot do on this platform? Of course not. They've decided to add a new content category focused on political and debated issues. Streams that include conversation about elections, civil integrity, and, you know, war or military conflict, for example, are required to include the new label. If it's not obvious to you, what Twitch has done here, instead of simply enforcing their own terms of service and just banning Hasan, you know, I'm not saying to ban him forever, but just banning him for like 14 days, just like they did with Asmongold, to show that they don't have a double standard. All they've done, apparently, is just add a new little category for Hasan. Add a new little category for extremist radical ideology in order to, like, protect themselves from the advertisers, like, leaving. I mean, it's actually insane, because now, if you're a politics streamer that isn't an insane terrorist supporter, this affects you too. Now you have to stream under this, like, politics content category, and you're probably going to get less advertisers. And to be fair, Twitch did ban those streamers that were doing that race tier list. However, Hasan is your biggest political commentator on your platform, and he's literally endorsing terrorism. He needs to be made an example of as well. Normally, I'm against, like, stuff like ad boycotts and deplatforming. I mean, I don't know. I'd like to consider myself more on, like, the whatever free speech side of things. However, when you're showing clear double standards, I do think that's a problem. I think free speech isn't really free speech when it's not equally applied. But even with my personal free speech standards, I don't really think that you should be encouraging violence. I feel like endorsing terrorism counts as encouraging violence. I'm not going to lie. I think I do feel that way. So yeah, that's where we're at this issue. It's unclear if this is where it's going to end, if Twitch is just going to kind of sort of get away with this, or if the people that have been bringing all of this up are going to keep going and keep causing more of a ruckus. But I think I have enough information that I can definitively say that Twitch is definitely acting in an anti-Semitic manner. And I am leaning towards believing that there are people at Twitch that are genuinely anti-Semitic. And I think that that's kind of a problem. Can we get an L racism in the chat? Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.